If you're struggling to make sales on Etsy, this is the video for you. Today, I'm going to share 6 things that you can look at to see if improving these will improve your sales in your Etsy shop. G'day there, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess Van Den. I've been successfully selling on Etsy since 2008 and my handmade business has been my full-time gig since 2010. Here on this channel, I talk about how to have a thriving and profitable handmade business, and that is what today's video is all about. I see the same mistakes over and over again that people are making with their Etsy shops. So I want to address 6 common mistakes, common issues I see people making over and over, so that you can hopefully learn from this and improve these things in your own shop, which will, fingers crossed, help you to bring more sales to your business. If you're a newbie seller or you have a shop that is languishing and could use an overhaul, I have a course running soon called Setup Shop that might be just the thing for you. I'll tell you more about this at the end of the video, but for now, let's get into today's tips. Number 1, do your photos suck? I hate to put it so blankly, but honestly, the competition these days is so high that you need to have excellent photos. I have numerous videos on this channel that will help you to improve your product photography. I'll put one of them up here in a card and you can just go to my channel and search photos or photography. But the main thing to know is you have to have excellent photos. If you want to succeed on Etsy, you can't have mediocre or okay photos. You have to have excellent photos. And frankly, these days, there's no excuse not to have excellent photos because most of us have a phone with an amazing camera on it. So you can just use your phone to take your photos. The key things are good lighting and natural lighting, good focus. I can't tell you how many times I've seen blurry photos. That is just not acceptable. Good clean backgrounds. So I want you to take a critical look at your photos and get really honest with yourself if they're up to scratch or not. Now, if you're really unsure, then you can ask a friend or a colleague to critique your photos. If you're in the Thriver Circle, which is my membership community for makers, you can drop a photo in the Facebook group and ask for feedback on it. You know, get somebody else who knows what they're talking about to give you a second opinion, but not somebody who's going to be too nice to you. You need somebody who's going to be honest with you and tell you if your photos are good enough or not. Another trick you can use is to look at your work in Etsy search. So compare your photo, your thumbnail photo specifically, with that of comparable listings and see if it stands out or not. What you're going for is a photo that catches the eye in that thumbnail. That is pretty much one of the most important things, if not the most important thing you can do to sell something on Etsy, is to have an excellent thumbnail picture that shows up in search. So you should be putting a lot of effort and time into making sure that picture is excellent. Number 2, are your titles descriptive? Your titles need to be descriptive. They need to describe the item. They can't be wishy-washy. They can't be too short. So, blue t-shirt. That is not a descriptive title. I mean, it is technically, but it's not got enough going on. I mean, women's t-shirt, what sort of style is it? Does it have writing on it? Does it have illustration on it? Who's it for? Is it a child's one? Is it an adult's one? Think about all the things that go into describing your shirt. Is it for an event, a special occasion? Okay, think through all of the possible ways you could describe your product and get that into your title. But write it so it's easy enough to read. Don't just keyword stuff it with heaps of different words in a random order. Make sure it's good to read, so put it into a sentence and make it descriptive. I see people they'll have a name for their collection or they'll use jargon in their title, things that a normal person doesn't understand. So try to steer away from that as well and try to think just someone who doesn't necessarily understand how to make this thing, what would they be typing in the search bar to find it? And that is another key thing. So titles are part of your SEO or your search engine optimization. They and your tags and your attributes are the things that contribute to where you rank in the Etsy search rankings. Now, there are other aspects as well. I won't go into them. I do have a whole hour-long workshop on that. I was part of the Etsy U program, Etsy University program, a few years ago. If you're not familiar with that, it's a program where Etsy collaborated with people like myself who are educators in the community, and they worked with us, and we actually taught the content they gave to us. So they gave us content that was straight from them, and we then taught it to our community. So I have 4 workshops that are an hour long each here for free on my YouTube channel that are all about these aspects of selling successfully on Etsy. There's one on photography, there's one on SEO, and I strongly recommend you check that out after you finish watching this video. Again, I'll put the link to the Etsy U playlist below in the description so you can see those videos. It is so important that you do the work to get those keywords, and that the most important question to always ask yourself is, what would somebody looking for this item type in at the Etsy search bar? And that is what you need to put in your titles and your tags. Number 3, are you actually selling something that people want? Okay, so this can be a bit of a difficult one when you're making that change from just making stuff for yourself for fun and then making stuff to sell it to other people. It might change what you make, it might change your relationship to your craft, but you have to sell stuff that people want to buy. Okay, so one key way to figure this out is look around. Are other people selling similar products? If they are, this is actually a good thing because it means there's a market for these products. Okay, and look at your sales history. What are people actually buying? What do they enjoy? What are they actually shelling their money out for? That is a sign that people want more of this sort of thing. So you might want to make more products that are along those lines. I've certainly done this in my store. Like when I first put up my very first wedding ring, it was kind of on a whim, and then it started selling, and I'm like, maybe there's a gap in the market for sterling silver wedding rings. Maybe that's something that people actually want that there's not enough of. So I started making more of them, and I started selling more of them. Now, that's not to say I sell all of my designs equally. Some of them sell way better than others because they've hit on something people really want. Okay, and it's a trial and error thing here, but you just have to keep trying and making things and seeing if they sell. And honestly, at the end of the day, that is the only proof, is if they sell. If they sell, then they're successful and it's something people want. And you can never know until you put it out there whether something is going to be a hit or not. So make stuff and put it out there for people to buy. Number 4, are you standing out? I cannot tell you the amount of times I've seen a shop and it just looks like any other shop. Like it has nothing that stands out about it. There's nothing unique. There's nothing different or interesting about it. It just looks like every other, every other beaded jewellery shop, every other silver jewellery shop, every other bag shop. Nothing about it is unique or special. And you need to have something. It's called your unique selling proposition. The thing that makes you different, the thing that makes your business stand out. What is it about your business that is unique? What is it about your business that people will remember you for? You'll be the person who makes X, Y, Z, like the person who does this particular thing really, really well. That's what you want to do. So you want to niche down and actually make things that stand out in some way or another. So if you're not there yet, that's okay. This is something that you can evolve and develop into over time. Goodness knows it took me like 4 or 5 years of running my business, Ethereal, before I really narrowed things down and hit on basically the magic, the magic formula that's worked for me. Okay, so don't feel like this is something you have to figure out straight away, but do keep it in the back of your mind. And when you're working on products and you're working on branding and you're working on every other aspect of your business, think, how is this going to be in line with my brand and how is this going to stand out? Number 5, kind of related to number 4, and that is your shop professional looking? Does it look professional or does it look amateur and hobbyist? People can tell very quickly, or they have an instinct very quickly when they land on your shop as to how seriously you are taking this business. So things like, do you have a nice banner or a banner at all? Do you have a good logo, a profile photo? Do you have a decent amount of listings? Do you have your policies filled in, your about section filled in with some photos? Like, flesh your shop out, fill in all these things. Now, a little tip secret for you is that having a completed about section and policy section on Etsy actually gives you a little boost in your search. They prioritize shops that have done the work to fill all this stuff out properly. Okay, so don't neglect that stuff. Make sure it's filled out. Make sure you're telling your story. Make sure you're making that emotional connection with your potential customers by having a shop that looks like you're taking it as seriously as you are. One interesting thing here, as I just said about products, how many products? You hear this question, how many products should I have in my Etsy shop? It's like asking how long is a piece of string. It really comes down to your business, but I do recommend, if you can, to try to at least fill up that first page of listings. Now, having more listings is usually a good thing if they're quality, because the more listings you have, the more chance you have of being found in search. Okay, it's just a numbers game. But if you make the sort of thing where you only have a limited number of listings, that's okay. Just do a good job to make it clear that your shop is still quality. So fill in all that other stuff, make sure all your branding's on point, make sure it's crisp and clear, and it's not, you don't have a fuzzy banner or bad photos in your about section, or like one line in your about section. It's like, I put something there, but I didn't really put any effort into it, because people will respond to that. They'll be like, well, if you can't be asked to actually put any effort into making your shop look appealing, how much care and attention are you going to pay to the product you make for me? Okay, so think about that customer psychology and make sure that you are putting in the effort to make your business look professional, even if you're just starting out. That's okay. Okay, you're not faking it. You're just putting your best foot forward. Number 6, are your prices too low? Probably. This is a huge problem that most of us face, is that we underprice our work. Now, I understand the temptation, because you're looking around and you're seeing other people who are selling what you're selling for lots cheaper, and you're like, how is this possible? How are they making a living? They're probably not. Or they live in a country where the exchange rate means that they're making enough to make a living. Whereas if you're in, America, for example, you can't necessarily compete with somebody who's in Thailand, who can afford to charge less because the cost of living is lower, right? You get me? So you can't compete directly on price. Stop trying to compete on price. What you can compete on is quality. So this is why your photos have to convey a sense of quality, your descriptions, your professionalism, your customer service. All of those things need to be on point so that people trust you. Your reviews over time. Stop trying to be a commodity and compete directly on price. Yes, you have to be aware of the marketplace. Yes, you have to be somewhat competitive in the marketplace, but it all depends on positioning, where you're positioning your business in the marketplace. I mean, I love using the example of Louis Vuitton bags or something. Like, nobody buys them because they're cheap. They buy them because they want the brand, and they spend gazillions of dollars on something that you could buy at Target for $20. Like, realistically, they're probably made in the same factory. So it's not about the materials. It's not about the time it takes you to make the product. Yes, you have to cover all of that stuff, and I have a pricing video that I will link to up here that might blow your mind a little bit, because I go into the actual formula and the reason that formula exists, or the reason the aspects of that formula exist, and why you should be charging retail price for all your products. Very important. I go into that in that video, so you can check that out after this. But you need to be charging enough to, actually make this profitable and viable. Don't undercharge, because you turn yourself into a slave, and that is not what you're here to do. If you're wanting a full-time, profitable handmade business, you need to charge enough. And honestly, I think people lose sales for undercharging sometimes as well, because there's that sweet spot where a customer will come along and go, that's really cheap, probably dodgy quality. Or they'll come along, sure, and say, oh, that's really expensive. I can't afford that right now. But hopefully you want to find that sweet spot. And it might take experimentation. I am still tweaking my prices at times, and I have been doing this since 2008. Things change, the market changes, your postage prices might change, other circumstances might affect your pricing. And again, I go into the two aspects of pricing, the maths of it and the kind of psychology of it in that video. I think if I don't, it's in a workshop in the circle. I can't remember which is in what. The formula stuff is definitely in that video though. So you need to make sure you're charging enough. And I will say this over and over again until everybody believes it, but it is important. So those are 6 basic things that you can work on to improve your Etsy shop. If you want more on that, I will link to a video at the end of this one, but I'll come back to that. Before I do, I want to tell you very quickly about Setup Shop. So it is my 30-day intensive course that is for people who don't have a shop or people who want to revamp the shop they already have. It's a system that steps you through every single aspect of your shop that you need to work on in order. This works if you're selling on Etsy or Shopify or Squarespace. It doesn't matter. I don't care what venue you're using to sell on. This course will work for you. Over 1,300 makers have used Setup Shop to set up a stellar online shop, which is awesome. And you can join us for that if you would like to. Just head on over to createandthrive.com/setup shop. I'll put a link below. The next class will run February 21st, I believe it is starting. This is 2022. If you're watching this later, I run this course twice a year. It's a live course, so you get a lesson every day, and I do 2 live videos during the course, so you can actually ask me questions live as well. So if you'd like to check that out, it's very affordable. Head on over to that link that I gave you below, and I would love to help you set up a stellar online shop to sell your handmade goods. Now, as I was saying, I have a video which is 10 tweaks to a better Etsy shop, and here it is, or here. I don't know which side I'm putting it on. Is it this one? So if you want more, go check that one out right now, and then you can also watch and bookmark all these other videos that I linked to today to help you improve your Etsy shop. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Jess Van Den. I'll be back again in the next video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, and give me a thumbs up if you found this one helpful. I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.